Hey Morgan,
Hey, Lexus.
how have you been?
I mean, it's been pretty good over here. We're getting some really good weather right before it's about to storm while being 90 degrees. But other than that, it's been really good. We've been kind of laying low this weekend and just being a couple of homebodies. But what about yourself?
Oh my God, I don't even, whenever someone asks me how I am, I'm like, how am I? But wait, I just gotta chime in. So Morgan's in Germany, in case you guys forgot. The sun doesn't
Mhm.
set until like 10:30 p.m. That is so freaking weird. And also, I'm sure that 90 degrees in Germany seems extremely hot, but we're about to hit like 115 degrees next week here in Arizona, and I'm gonna freaking die. Well, I mean, I'm not going outside at all, but shoot, dude, I'm not looking forward to that. But other than that, I mean, I'm good, trying not to get some skin cancer. I'm just keeping up with my sunscreen, my SPF 50. uh, so, I mean, this is exciting. We're on our second episode.
Yes.
I really liked our first episode, and I think we got a pretty good response back to it. I think we definitely should revisit that topic in the future. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I just remember listening to it and one like I mean, I might be a little bit biased, but I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought we did so well like discussing our experiences, and holy cow, the fact that we had so much in common, like it's I don't want to say like that's awesome because I would not want that for you, but I thought it was like kind of cool for us to realize like we're here being, a voice for people to relate to and not feel alone, and we're over here relating and not even
Yeah.
knowing.
And then I think it's just funny because we're like, I mean, we're alike in our experiences, but I feel like we have such different like sort of lifestyles. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
like just look at our Instagram pages. Like you're very like boho vibey. And then I'm like, you could tell I was emo in high school.
Girl, look at our like cover art.
I know, but it's a good agglomeration of like what we both like. And it's like
Yeah.
so I feel like it's kind of random. Like I bet people were like like our little like avatars look so different. And then we just combined like everything we like to get like this like retro-esque thing going on. And like,
Mhm.
yeah, I really like what we got going on.
I do
But yeah,
too.
I definitely want to revisit the mother's topic because I mean, I could go on and on about that forever. And then a lot of people were like giving us suggestions on like, and just letting us know their stories. So that was like super comforting. And I feel like we accomplished our goal of, letting people know that they're not alone, and even in these like weird, nuanced situations. Yeah, a lot of people were like, and most of the first listeners have been people we went to school with, and they were like, I didn't even think that you guys went through stuff like this because of the way you presented yourself.
Yeah. No, yeah, I got a lot of really great feedback. I know one of our friends was letting me know that it sounded like we were on a FaceTime call, the three of us, and she was just like in her car talking like, yeah, no, I totally remember that when that was happening, when that was going on. And so I think that's really cool that we give off that type of vibe, I guess, that we are so comfortable in the way that we can talk to each other that it just feels like, whoever's listening, you're just kind of talking with us. I think that's a really cool way to view this podcast because it is all natural. We have key points and key topics that we want to talk about, but a lot of these things I mean, I don't know, because I talk to you about a lot of things. I have a hard time keeping some things in, but I think like when we talk about our experiences, for the most part, they're pretty new to us when we share them with each other. So
Mhm.
you guys are just kind of coming along with us. And I mean, before we get into like our new topic, I think that it's just really cool that we were able to take this plunge and do this. And although I was nervous, I don't know if you were nervous to
um,
get on
I
this.
had like a major imposter syndrome. I'm like, I'm not cool enough to be talking right now. Yeah, I was like, I was like, the podcast world needs us. But then I was like, does it?
Does it really? Really?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm really happy with what we got going so far. So I want to keep the momentum going. But me and Morgan thought of doing a little segment that right now is just going to be named Little Moments. It's inspired by this girl off of TikTok. Her name is Nabella, and she does like little day in her life that she calls Pocket of Peace, where she just shows the highlights of her day. And we thought it'd be fun to like highlight something random, like a memory, something cool that happened like this week, or just something in general that makes us happy, so that we're reminded that normal day-to-day life can be beautiful as well. As corny as that sounds, but
No, we
like
love it.
people on like social media, just they only show the highlights, but they're only showing like the most extravagant parts, I feel, for the most part. And I don't want to forget the little stuff, because the other day I was like, I got like hit with this random flashback memory, and I was like, that was nice. And I'm sure that someone else has like something similar. And yeah, do you want to go share your little moment first?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So mine just happened to be yesterday was actually the 1 year anniversary of my last day in Arizona, which is my home state, before my husband and I took our road trip up to Baltimore and got on a plane to go to Germany. And in that moment, my friends that I've like been friends with all throughout high school and up until today, they made a video and just like highlighting our time together. And like I got it on my Facebook memories too. And so every time I watch it, I get so emotional just because I love them so much. And it's crazy to see like videos from so long ago, from when we were 14 up until now being 24. And I don't know, that alone was just really wholesome for me. But then I was on the phone with my dad today, and he was telling me how that video made him emotional, because he said
Oh.
that that's what, yeah, like he said that that's what he wants for, for me and my sisters, like just really good, strong friends and friendships. And he said that he could really tell that the friendships that I have been strong. He said because he also knows them too, that they have to
Mm-hmm.
be strong friendships. And he was just commenting on like, to him he was like, oh, I really like, you could tell in the videos that you and Caesar are just going to be friends forever. Caesar is one of my best friends. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I've been friends, with Caesar, Maria, Jelly, just for so many years. And it's just crazy how like we can go so long without talking, and then when we do, it's just kind of like nothing. We just pick up where we left off. And I was really worried about that, moving to Germany, that it was going to fade out, just because we all have our own lives and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I just got really blessed with really close friendships like that. And so that was a really good memory to have come up yesterday, and I thought it was perfect for today's little moments.
Oh, I love that. You can tell that your friends just love you so much. And shout out to Caesar. He cracks me up. I don't know if he does this every day, but it's been every day that I've been on Twitter. He tweets out, I love my friends so much, or
Yeah,
something like that. It just makes me laugh. But yeah, love that for
I
you.
know. I know. I want to hear about your memory that you had. It sounds really cute.
Okay, so the mine is like way in the past. Like this just hit me randomly because yesterday I was driving through a part of Phoenix that I haven't been in years. And I looked over and I saw a bakery that my grandpa used to take me and my brothers to. And we would get like the cheap bread and then like a snack or something. And we would take, I know this is bad now, I know this is bad, but we would take that bread and then go to like a local park with like a pond or something and feed all the ducks. And I don't know, just like seeing that and then like remembering like how happy I was with this like super simple thing back then, just I don't know, gave me feel some feels. And I'm like, dang, like I can't believe that was like 20 years ago at this point.
Yeah, I like this. I think it'll be really good to one, like just remind ourselves, or like keep those moments alive, because that just came up from like a nostalgic being where you were at. And I I think it'll be really good to kind of have this documented too, these moments that we get to share. But yeah, I mean, to kind of get into it, let's get into a little spicy topic. Let's talk about roommates.
Oh boy.
I know. So, I mean, if you haven't had roommates, one, consider yourself lucky. No, yes and no. But if you have had them, you know that it can be a really like great experience. You make, really good friends, family. And if you have had them, you also know that, maybe you move out after 3 months or 13 days because it's just not, it
just was not it. Yeah, so we just wanted to share our stories. We both got 2 each, different situations, and we want to share what we learned from them so you can avoid our struggles. We do not want you feeling the way that we felt. And great, we were super young during this time, and I know that you have to go through stuff to like learn your lessons, but like trust us on this. Like roommates, man, I have definitely had some growing pains with that, but let me just get into my first one. So to set this story up, I was 18, almost 19 or so, and I was living with my dad and his mother, who I do not like. That's a whole other topic that I could maybe brush on way later. But basically, my dad was on a work trip, and I did something that my grandmother did not agree with, and she decided to kick me out of the house while my dad was in like Kansas or something and had no way to contact me. So during this time, I super stressful. I know, like I had like, she gave me like 1 day's notice and was like, get the heck out of my house. Craziness. And so I was like, holy crap. I took what I could to like a local like friend's house, and I was just desperate to move out. And at the time I was working at a little pizza place, and I was like talking to my coworkers, and I'm like, what should I do? I don't want to go live with my mom because, like you learned in the last episode, living with my mom would have been a bad situation. So my coworkers at my job knew I was desperate to move out. And my assistant manager, I don't remember how I knew this, but I was like, you live in a 2-bedroom apartment, right? What do you think about becoming roommates? Because me and this assistant manager were really good friends. She helped me get hired on. I looked up to her so much. She was like, I want to say like 24 or so when I was 19. So she was like to me like a big sister. And I was like, I really like her work ethic. She was super clean. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this will be such a cool experience. And like, she wasn't going to charge me like an exorbitant price. So I was like, I think I can go ahead and do this. And so she let me move in. And that was just, I was desperate to not see all of these red flags. It was literally crazy. So I move in and I quickly realized that we are not roommates. This is not an equal power balance. She is basically my landlord, and I am renting out a room for her, and I have no say in anything. I was completely shocked. I had never seen her place before because she was a very private person. Immediately, it hit me with a ton of rules. I could not have friends over. I could not have family over. And my boyfriend at the time could come over once a week. And she justified it by saying that you don't know how SRP that's our electricity here in Arizona. You don't know how much that will be affected. You don't have experience. So just trust me. And so I was like, well, this sucks because you move in thinking like, oh, I'm gonna have my friends over. Like, granted, I was not at all trying to take advantage of anything, but I was like, dang, this kind of feels like I'm living with a controlling family member. But I was like, you know what? Push through.
Yeah. And it kind of sounds like she was reaping all the benefits. Like she had you to fill that extra space and pay all the like and to pay that part of the rent, but you had no freedom in the apartment whatsoever. It just didn't seem like what did you have to keep your door open when your boyfriend was there too? Like
luckily we did not have to do that. But it was definitely like I had to like set a timer and be like, okay, you need to be, he was allowed to spend the night, but I was like, okay, you need to be exactly at 12 p.m. the next day. Craziness, I know. And like, I quickly learned a lot of backstory. So she, to my knowledge, was not even paying rent. A family member was paying rent for her. And so she was just using the extra money I was providing as like extra spending money. And okay, here's where it starts like immediately getting kind of crazy. So we work together, we get paid on the same day. Rent was due, I think, on the 14th, and it was maybe only the 8th by this time. So I get paid and I'm like trying to make sure all my finances are good. I had some money saved. So she approaches me at our job on the 8th and says, send me the rent right now. I need to go get my hair done. Yeah.
Stop.
Dead ass. She was like, yeah, I need to hurry up and go. So go ahead and send that to me. And I was like, holy shit. And this was before Cash App, Zelle, or anything. So I have to go to the bank and pull out this money last minute. I don't have a car. I have nothing. And she's just like, go do this. And I'm like, okay, well, like this is my first time paying rent and I don't have anything right now. And so I'm like freaking out. But luckily a friend takes me. And yeah, that was my first like, okay, this shit's weird. And just to give you a little dynamic of like our living situation, oh my God, this place was filthy. It was disgusting. She had I think either a gerbil or what's another thing that looks like a gerbil? Not a hamster.
A guinea pig?
Yes, I think it was a guinea pig. She had a guinea
They
pig.
stink.
I know. They do stink, especially if you don't take care of them right. She had a guinea pig in like a pretty small container, in my opinion. And she kind of expected me to help out with the guinea pig, even though we never discussed that. And I had no guinea pig experience either. And she was the type to cook a meal. And instead of like a normal person putting them away in containers, she would get the entire skillet uncovered and just put it in the fridge. And I remember opening the fridge and there was just a big ass dead fish just out in the open in the fridge. And I was like, okay, I need to be sensitive to her culture, but this shit is nasty. I opened the fridge and like it hit me so hard. I'm like, that is raunchy, disgusting.
Alexis, I'm literally like trying to contain my laughter so much right now because I just am like putting myself in your situation. First of all, no. I don't know if I would cry or if I don't even know, but I don't know. I thought you were going to say like, she would just leave it out like on the stove or whatever it is to put the entire pan in there uncovered. Miss Girl, the flies, the smell, what?
I know, like there was just a lot of smells going on. And then on top of that, she just had a ton of clothes and we had a hallway where it was a long hallway and in between the hallway was our laundry area. We had in unit laundry and from the laundry area all the way to her bedroom there was like 6 different hampers full of clothes and the washing machine and the dryer were full of clothes as well. And so I quickly learned that she would run the washing machine multiple times, forget about it. There would be that mildew smell, and then realize that mildew smell is there, rewash, and then load it into the dryer. And I did 1 load of laundry. I took like a couple of showers there. And yes, I did my first load of laundry. I had like 3 hours before work. I'm like, okay, I can go ahead and do this. And so I put my clothes in the dryer. I run it like twice and I'm like, okay, that's great. It was not great because my freaking clothes were still wet after drying for over an hour and a half. I had to put on wet clothes and walk to work. So that was not fun. So I'm like, I got a laundry machine that does not work, nasty smells. And then on top of that, like I only had the bedroom to really socialize in and like nothing was really set up yet in my room and I was just kind of putting it off. Granted, that's my own fault, but she didn't let me like hang out in the living room. Like I could be in the kitchen, but it was only during designated times. It was just very unfair. So I, at this time, I'm like crying to my friends. I'm like, this is terrible. Like I can't deal with this. And so me and her try to talk about it. And she basically gaslights me and is just telling me, this is the adult experience. You need to, get with it, whatever. And I was like, okay. And then stuff just got really weird at work. She was unhappy that I confronted her about the power dynamic and everything. She like, I'm not going to say she pushed me, but she definitely started shoving past me kind of aggressively at work. And she was my assistant manager and she had control of our schedule. So I was scared of that. And, I let her know face to face, hey, this is just not working out to me. This was day 13. Day 13. You think that someone is going to put their best face forward, at least for a month? I couldn't take it. I was like, I'm so sorry. But I just can't do it. And then she hits me with, well, I just quit my second job. So I'm going to need you to pay the next 3 months rent
Oh
because
no.
this is what I expect of you. Like be an adult, take accountability. I was like, girl, it hasn't even been a full 2 weeks yet. And with the way you've been treating me, you got your first month. You don't even pay your own rent. And yeah, so she was like, you're not welcome back at the house until you pay me that 3 months rent. And so I'm like crying to my family. I'm like, what do I do? And they're like, that's freaking stupid. You didn't even live there for 2 weeks. And like, she basically like doesn't have like those that set of rights yet. Like if she can't like sue me basically. And like I wasn't even getting mail here. And that's another thing. She did not want me to get mail there because of, I think she was like afraid of like tax purposes or something. Like I was so broke that I was trying to get government assistance. And she told me I was not allowed to use her address for the government assistance. So that just shady as hell. So my family's like, just call, like get a truck, call a police officer, and then get your shit. So, oh my God, that was so scary. So I go to her house with a U-Haul truck and a police officer. And like how it's like the scary things that like police officers do when they bang really hard. And like I had my key, but she had the deadbolt. And so she finally comes out and she's like still in her pajamas at like 3 p.m. Like she looks like she literally just got out of bed and she is pissed. She looks at me with the most like evil look and immediately is like cursing at me. She calls our general manager and is like, I'm gonna get this girl fired. This girl thinks she can run a fast one on me. And so I'm trying to get my stuff. And at the time, my boyfriend is with me and he was gonna help me. And she's like, no. Only you are able to enter in the house. So I had to carry all of my like furniture, everything on my own because she was being petty. And I'm like, bro, like I'm not strong enough. I had to like drag stuff. But she was like, I'm going to charge you for damages. I'm like, oh my God. So the police officer was able to be in the house. So he had to help me. Like this freaking police officer was like, what the hell? Like it was weird. So I finally get all my stuff and the entire time she's cursing me out. And then I'm still working and everything because I was like on shift and she cancels a whole bunch of my shifts. And then my very last day there, she tries dress coding me for wearing like black jeans instead of, I was wearing like leggings with like pockets and stuff. And everyone at my job was wearing those. She was even wearing those that day. And she was like, you're out of dress code. I'm like, you know what? I quit. I just walked out and I never talked to her again. But like to this day, we got beef. But you know what, all of my coworkers that like worked with us at the time, they are on my side at this point. And she actually I think she was she'll say that she willfully terminated herself, but she definitely got let go from that job because she was doing a lot of different shady things. But terrible experience. Don't move in with your coworkers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like listening and all I can think of is that you are 18, you said between 18 and 19. How the fuck, like sorry, my language, but I could not imagine like an adult one treating me this way, but I totally see that power dynamic. She thought she could take advantage of you and try and like belittle you into thinking that this is how the real life works, is how real life is. Like, these are responsibilities you need to uphold. You weren't even there. You were there. First of all, you lasted a lot longer than I could have. I would have called my dad and been like, I can't do this. Come, please.
Girl, I was so desperate to get out. I called my mom and I cried to my mom about it. And like, I know that whole thing with like being kicked out and stuff, that was like, all of this happened while my dad was in Kentucky, so he didn't even know about this stuff. But I went through a lot in 2 weeks. It was a nightmare. But do you want to talk about your situation?
Oh gosh. Yeah. So it's funny because our situation is pretty similar. Our first roommates are pretty similar in this sense as well. So basically, I stayed with my stepmom and my sister and my stepbrother, and I don't really have any complaints about that staying over there. It was just very tight space. I was sharing a room with my sister, who was a teenager at the time as well. And it just was really like cramped. She was basically staying in her mom's room, and I just felt really bad. So after a year, I was working at PF Chang's as a hostess, and I had made some friends there. And everything was pretty good. And we were just kind of talking about wanting to move out, and they all seemed on board. And I was ready to move out, like ready. So we would have meetings together where we would look at homes on Zillow, and we would bring our little notebooks and write down things that we wanted for the house. We would write down things that collectively we wanted to like follow, any rules we wanted to follow. And we all seemed like we were on the same page. And then when it came down to getting like our deposit in order, all three of them, I should mention it was three people. It was a couple and one of my really good friends at the time that I made there. All three of them were pretty short on their portion of the deposit, but I knew I needed to move out. Like, I was ready, and they assured me that they would pay me back. So I fronted what they were short and mine, and we paid it. And then in December of 2017, I think, or 2016, we got the keys to our house. We moved in. It was a beautiful house out in Buckeye, Arizona. Beautiful house. I was in awe that, we were able to live here. Beautiful big backyard, and it was just amazing. So we like got all situated. Everything was cool. We went to the grocery store together to get like all of our essentials. That's what I thought anyways. We were going to split this first round of groceries for our essential stuff. And it was pretty affordable to do that. And I thought that was the one and done thing. So the first like issue was the grocery situation. I remember I was home. I wasn't working that day. And I guess when my two roommates got off of work, they decided to go to the store, which is also right by our house. But they didn't tell me that they were going to the store, and they didn't like text me if I needed anything like that. I did get a text letting me know that they're coming back from the store, and it's going to be $45 for my portion of the groceries. And I was super confused. So I texted them back. I was like, oh, well, I didn't know you guys were going to the store. There are some things that I need. I'll just do my own grocery shopping. And that seemed to be a problem.
There's nothing wrong with grocery shopping together, because I do that with, I have done it successfully, but at least for me, we need to come up with like a whole meal plan and make sure everyone's okay with everything, that you get my snacks and, divide it up right, because food is sensitive as topic, and I don't like anyone messing with my food. I don't touch anyone else's food. And I'm also not going to waste my money and my time cooking things that no one else wants. And like, yeah, they definitely should have talked to you about that previously instead of assuming. So just don't assume. And when it comes to
Yes.
splitting things, you need to be as curt and clear as possible. Do not assume anything when it comes to money. Okay, sorry, Morgan, go on.
No, you're okay. Like, I totally agree with that, because I was just like, they didn't even text me and let me know that they were going to the store. Like, if they would have texted me, I don't even think I would have cared that we were going to split them again, just because but they didn't even give me that courtesy. So they were like, well, it's just $45. And that just seemed a little ridiculous because I know we all work at the same job, but we do not have the same bills. I was going to school. I'm pretty sure it was me and one of my other roommates that were the only ones going to school at the time. I had student loans that I was paying. I had like school expenses. I had my car. I had bills. So I don't like the whole, well, it's just $45. But I was already like pretty anxious for them coming home because they didn't understand where I was coming from. And I didn't want an argument. So they came home and I went down to help them unload the car. And I went to talk to my friend who was like my really good friend in the house. And I was just asking her genuinely, like, do you really not understand where I'm coming from? And she looked me dead in my eyes and said, no. And I felt so crazy. And so they came inside and we put the groceries down and we're talking about it. And it's like the three of them are like kind of enclosing me. So I'm in the corner of like the kitchen and they're kind of in front of me. And they're just talking to me how like we all have bills, we all have expenses. So and so's car payment's $400. One, I don't care. I'm not the one pressing you to pay me $45. And so I just plain and simple was just like, I can just do my own grocery shopping. I think that's fine. And they didn't like that. And because of that, I had really bad anxiety. I already felt like super off. Like the vibe was really off in the house and it made me uncomfy. But a couple days pass and the storm settles or whatever. And I'm gonna call her the ringleader because nobody liked to step on this girl's toes for whatever reason. But she like passed me on the stairs and we were just kind of talking about it. And she goes, well, we did get you things that, that you like. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, thank you. Like, what did you get? She's like, yeah, we got you sour cream and onion Pringles and chocolate chip Eggos. And first of all, I think I was 18 at the time. So I was not me being grateful because I was like, wow, that's so, but then I walked to my room and I'm like, no, she did not. So she wanted me to pay $45 for sour cream and onion Pringles and chocolate chip frozen waffles. That's crazy. You mean the frozen waffles that your boyfriend's going to eat like within a matter of a day? No, no thanks.
First of all, the audacity, right? I can't even deal with that at all. I would have been fist fighting about that, like with my previous roommate. I mean, I only went grocery shopping one time and I did not want to share, so I did not want to share food with that person because I was like, with their, like, you don't know how people cook and just their standards of food, it becomes really different. So they should have had a conversation with you. And also, I hate the whole let's all gang up on one person when they're standing up for themselves. That is so unfair. It needs to be a neutral setting where you guys are all sitting at eye level and everyone's allowing each other to speak. So what they did was fucked up.
I know. And I just if I could, I just want to be that person for 18-year-old me, because me now, I've just been through it. So nobody's going to talk to me any type of way. But in that moment, it was really rough. And I should preface by saying too, when I moved in with my first roommates, me and my now husband, we were dating, we had broken up. And so I was also in a place where I need to move on. I need to do big boss type of stuff. You know what I mean? And it starts with getting a house. So I was doing that, but we did end up getting back together. And when we were talking and everything, I remember him saying that he was going to be able to get out of the dorm soon, but he was going to find somewhere else to live. And so I remember talking with my roommates and I told them do not feel like you have to say yes or no, because I can, or that you have to say yes. If you're uncomfortable with it, just tell me. I totally understand. And I said, I just want to let you know, if you did want him to stay in the room, he would pay a portion of rent too. So it would be split even more with another person. He would split utilities as well. He won't park near the house because we already had all of our own cars. He'll park on the other side. So it was all of those things. And they were like, yeah, it's cheaper rent. Yeah. So nobody was nobody was like, oh, no, because I made it very clear that I already told him that I'm not saying yes until I talk with all of you guys, because I would want that same type of, respect. So he ended up moving in, and he would stay in like my room, and he would park, like I said, away from the house, so we all had our own parking. But when this whole like grocery thing happened, he was living with us then, and we had to go and take a walk after that, because I was super like wound up from all the emotions. But now we fast forward a little bit. My mom and my sisters and my grandma were going to come over to see the house, and right before we were going to go to dinner. And my mom beat me to my house first, and she was knocking and knocking, and nobody answered. And so I remember calling my roommate, and they answered, and I said, hey, my mom's knocking, can you go open the door for her? So they went downstairs, and they opened the door, and my mom had told me, one, they didn't even acknowledge her, they just opened the door and then just like went upstairs. Two, they looked high. Three, when she walked in, she like got hit with the smell of weed. So she called me and said to tell my grandma to just meet us at the restaurant, because it's not going to be good for her to like come over there. And one, it's really embarrassing, because regardless of like mine and my mom's relationship, I would like to consider myself pretty responsible. So we just went to the restaurant, and that was that situation. And I was just really fed up with these roommates too. Like, it wasn't all bad. We had a lot of really cool moments. We were friends. We did work together. There was just like some hostility, obviously, at times, but there was just like this one moment that was really weird for me, but I didn't want to judge, but it was really weird. And then after not living there, I realized that no, it's just really freaking weird. So when we moved into this house, we had my dog, my roommate's dog, and my roommate's cat. And I knew that her boyfriend had ferrets, but she said that, they would just be in her closet or whatever. So whatever, they had the walk-in closet. But I knew that she like would put her cat in baby clothes, but I thought it was just like, how we put our dogs in clothes. I thought it was like you have like a shirt for your dog or whatever. So I thought
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I wasn't thinking too much of it. But then like we move in together, and we're getting our room set up, and we're super excited about it, and we want to like show each other our rooms. And so I'm like, yeah, of course, of course. And when we get to their room, so this is the girl and her boyfriend. They had the master, which had the master closet. So where you see her bedroom, it's super cute. And then we go into like where her closet is, because we were going to see the ferrets and everything in their setup. We go in there, and there's like the whole half side of this walk-in closet is just baby clothes, like onesies everywhere. And it's girl baby clothes. And I see swaddles, like baby blankets. I see wipies. I see everything that you would need for a child. I see a car seat for a child. And then it like clicked, and I was like, no freaking way did she buy all of this shit, sorry, for her cat. And she did. And then the audacity is when I had friends over, she brought her cat out in the car seat in a onesie.
Hold on. Wait, she had I think I like blacked out on this part because it just got really weird. She had a car seat?
Yes, like those little baby ones that you have to latch into the car that have like the hood to block the sun and everything. Yes. She said
God.
Yeah, she told us that she would use that to park in the expecting mothers parking at Babies R Us, so she could park up front to go buy more baby clothes for her cat. I'm just like, I don't know. And I, being the peacemaker, or just like wanting, I don't know, I just never made a big deal about it, but I'm sharing my story.
She definitely took the whole my pets are my children thing to another level. I think that, oh my God, you know how people get so offended when you call your dog like your baby or something? This is something I can understand getting offended about. But so what was your breaking point? Why did you move out?
Oh my God. So basically, like, it just kind of started coming to a head with a lot of things. There was a lot of like things that were just so irritating, whether it was, you know, them spilling wine and then covering it with the ottoman, or without like, yeah, didn't even clean it, just covered it, and then finding it like days, maybe weeks later when I'm like vacuuming. There was
Can I wish that people could see our, maybe what we'll record our like selves in the future, but I wish people could see our faces and how we're reacting, because girl, let me tell you, if I freaking saw that there was a wine stain and they tried to cover it up, I would lose my fucking mind. Okay.
yes, like did they think that the landlord was never gonna move? Like, did they think that we were never gonna move the couch? It was just too much. It was also like, so we had to get our carpet removed and replaced. Thankfully, this was the same carpet where the wine was stained. Um, because our washer, it ended up being our washer was leaking, not because of like nothing that we knew about, but when I had parked into the driveway or into the garage, I had noticed a water bubble. So we got like the landlord to send out, or the property manager to send out someone to fix it. But before they knew it was the washer, they suspected it was the master bathtub. So they told our roommate, don't use it until we can figure it out. So then they figure out it's the washer. And my roommate's response is, oh, thank goodness, because I was still using the bathtub. I'm sorry, what? Why would you still do that?
The
Like it was just the
audacity.
complete, yeah, just completely like the negligence of everything. I would buy groceries and they would eat my food. I remember I went to Sprouts, and if y'all have a Sprouts, you guys already know about these muffins, okay? Sprouts muffins are elite, and you get to pick which ones you want. So I picked them, and I had them for me and for my boyfriend. And I remember like, oh, I can't wait till I get home from work. I'm gonna eat one of my muffins. I get home and I go, and my muffins are where they were. But when I pick it up, three are gone and one has a bite out of it and put back in. Oh, pissed isn't even like the half of it. I was like, no. So I'm like upset, but prior to me getting home, my roommate asked me to check on her puppies, which is a whole other thing. So I went into her room to check on the puppies. And as I'm walking in, I see a chocolate muffin wrapper on her TV stand. And then I get a little bit closer, and on the other side of her bed where the nightstand is, there's a blueberry muffin wrapper. I'm upset. I was very upset. And then they would also go into my room and unplug all of my things, even though they were turned off. Like they would unplug my TV, unplug my Wii that I would use for Netflix, unplug anything. So they said to save electricity, which I don't, it's a whole, I don't know. But they would constantly leave lights on in the kitchen while they'd be upstairs, or like leave our lights on in our loft. And I just thought it was a really weird like power move for them to just go into my room, because we didn't have locks on our doors. And as a server, I kept a lot of money in there. So just having that out and then seeing that like people were unplugging my stuff while I wasn't home was really upsetting. So with all of that, and then I also had some issues, you know, going on with my family and everything. I needed to be closer to family. Buckeye was just too far. I just realized like it wasn't going to work out, but I told them, you know, I signed a lease with you guys. I'm still going to pay rent. I'm not, you know, backing out on that. Luckily, I, you know, was still in a position where I could still pay them rent. But that was just that like another way for them to take advantage of me. So the way that this one ends is I told them several times, hey, the APS is in my name, but since I don't live there, I'm going to call them and tell them, and I know this date for a T, May 8th, I'm going to tell them to cancel it. So I need you guys to call them and put it in your name. Told them that via text 3 times. And I assumed that they, you know, they got it. They got the memo. And so May 8th comes, and I called and I told them like, hey, I need to cancel my APS. And they did that. And then APS doesn't even turn off. They'll give you 24 hours to reset, but apparently it takes a rocket scientist to know that, because they thought that I was bluffing or whatever. So they never called that day to put it in their name. And they went to work. And when they came home, I guess, you know, it was hot, and it's in May in Arizona. So it was hot, probably in the house, and they have pets in there. And they decided to text me and threaten me and tell me that I'm going to get what's coming to me, and that I hope I can sleep at night knowing I could have killed all of those animals in the house, and then telling me that they're going to sue me for animal cruelty and that it was my responsibility to put the APS in their name. So all of that happened, and all I did was send them screenshots of the text that I sent them, and I told them, do not threaten me. I told them this will be the last time that I pay you guys rent, like this will be the last month, because I can't have this type of contact with you anymore. It completely turned south. And then they ended up later on sending me to small claims because I stopped paying the rent. And at first I'm like, how the hell did they get my address? It turns out they got my address because we have two friends. I was really close friends with these two guys that is also friends with one of the roommates that I had. And they ended up telling me that they found my Etsy shop at the time and they ordered something off of my Etsy. And when it got there, it had my address on it. So that's how they were able to send me to small claims, which I had to give it to them. Okay, thank you for supporting the small business. But also, that was pretty clever. But when that happened, they were trying to sue me, I think, for $5,000 or $3,500, something crazy, for the rest of the lease, like the lease amount owed, which was not what it was. And I was freaking out. But my stepmom is a property manager. So I took it to her, we sat down and we put an itemized like list together of what, if I am going to pay something, this is what I'm going to pay. You know what I mean? So we did that, went to small claims. The judge was just not having it with them. They were just reading off their statement and he goes, what are we doing here? I already have this. Why are we here? What is going on? And then one of my roommates goes, well, this is what she owes. And he goes, how do we know that? Where's the evidence that we know this? He's like, because she has this paper here that breaks down, it actually gives me something to work with. So I'm more inclined to go with this than to go with whatever number it is that you guys decided to pick. And that's exactly what happened. So I did, and I'm taking responsibility because I did sign a lease with these people. And I did own up, and I paid all of that like ages ago. But I just thought it was crazy how they, like, I don't know what the situation was or what they thought was going on, but I'm just so glad to have that chapter done with in my life. I do not talk to these people. I do not care to talk to these people.
I think what we can learn from both of our situations is, oh my God, props to you. You need to keep itemized statements of every freaking transaction. I know that it seems kind of petty to keep your finances in order, but I promise you, it's going to save your ass. Don't move in with coworkers, and also do not allow yourself to be freaking bullied by roommates just because there's more than them or because there's a power imbalance. Stand up for yourself. And if you need to move out, that is your choice too. And these people
absolutely
make you feel bad.
Absolutely. And I understand that we had a written agreement to live together. The only thing I wish we would have done is I wish we would have put together an individual agreement of what we discussed in our meetings. And I wish we would have had that where we could have signed that and had that notarized, because that's even what the judge from the small claims, he's the one that said for situations like this, it's hard to just like say one or the other without this type of information. So going forward, to always have an individual contract with your roommates. And hopefully I never have to be with roommates again. But if I do, absolutely, that's what I'm doing, 100%.
So I do feel like I learned quite a bit from these situations, because now there is a light at the end of this tunnel. I do have really awesome roommates. We have a good dynamic and everything is fair, but this last one really kicked me in the butt. I thought everything was great, but it just, like, looking back on it, it was not. So for me, I used to do hair full time, and I became friends with the clients. We developed a close relationship. At this time I was living with like my dad again, and like everything was good, but he and I just had a lot of differences that we were butting heads on. And I was like, already, I think 22 at this point. So I was like, you know what, I'm ready to move out. So I go ahead and I am hanging out with my friend, and I see that she has an empty room. Her brother used to live with her, just moved out. And I ask her, hey, like, can I rent out that empty room? And in this situation, I knew I was renting out a room. So I was okay with that at first. And so I asked to move in, and I moved this move in day. I came through, and I knew that we had some cleaning differences. I did know that. But my room was not prepped and ready. This is the important part here. It was not prepped and ready. This room was not vacuumed. The walls, just like everything about it looked dingy. Like this would not pass a someone doing a walkthrough, basically.
I want
But
to say, sorry, this was before you moved in, right?
um, so I didn't really get a good look at the room. I just was, this is like as I'm moving in with my stuff.
Yes.
I see that nothing is clean, and I just kind of have to put my stuff here because I didn't have a vacuum. I didn't have like rags and stuff right now to go ahead and do this. And I was on like limited time because some friends were helping me move the big heavy stuff in. So I was like, all right, it is what it is. I guess I'll take care of it later. And so this is this is the important part, that they just did not take care of it. And I was like, okay, I will make the best of this. So I lived with them for about 6 months, and we never fought. Everything, I think I had some good communication. I think they were a little bit awkward by how like upfront I was about things. I was just so scared to ruin our friendship that I was like, okay, let me really be empathetic and let them know like what's going on. And I had my dog with me as well. So I was very like really on point with my communication. Like I was like, okay, I'm going to be gone from here and here. My dog is going to be in the kennel. He will not disturb anything. And, I didn't want them to feel responsible for my animal. They had two cats, and don't get me wrong, I do like cats. And, but you could tell, when you can just walk into a home and tell, oh, that man, these people got cats.
Mm-hmm.
So they had cats, and I left this out, but they were a couple. And my female friend was also a heavy, heavy smoker. Cigarette smoke, not weed, cigarette smoke. And he did smoke outside, but when you smoke so many cigarettes a day, that stench is just on you. So
Mm-hmm.
I was living with cigarette smoke and cat, a home that was not vacuum swept. They didn't have air fresheners. Like if I put an air purifier in this home, it would have been fucked up within like 30 minutes. Like that's how bad it was. And my room was probably like honestly like the cleanest room. Granted, I had a lot of stuff in there because I only had a tiny bedroom, but you know, I was kind of like the standard for cleanliness, basically. They also didn't really need, I guess in their mind, didn't really need to clean because all they would do is order Uber Eats for every single meal. And so they did not wash a single dish. They're like the type of people that use dishwashers only. And like you could just like there's a difference between people that hand wash their dishes and the people that use a dishwasher. They
Yeah.
were dishwasher people. I'm a hand washing dish person that uses the dishwasher as storage type of person.
Yeah.
And yeah, so oh my god, I kid you not, I saw them sweep one time, and that's because they saw me do it, and so they were like, oh, I guess I might as well, like we're here. And man, it was just like the cleanliness level was just not it. I got sick like 3 separate times, which in a 6 month period, that's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
And when I moved out, I felt like I could breathe again. Like it was crazy. Anyway, so keep in mind this is their standard of cleaning. I let them know, hey, like I'm moving out. I write them this nice letter telling them how thankful I am and like how much I appreciate them. Here's my move out date. Let me know how much I owe you prorated rent. And please let me know before I move out if you need me to clean anything in particular. If you want me to focus on anything. And they mentioned a few things. I took care of it. So I'm moving all my stuff out. Everything's great. And I get to my new apartment and they send me a message with a photo of my bedroom, and they lift up the
Bed
yes, a
frame.
box spring. Yeah. Because I was using their box spring, they lift it up and they show me the carpet difference, like in tonality. I really like went above and beyond with the cleaning, and they did not go out of their way to clean this room. So I'm like, I'm just taking my stuff out. I vacuumed, I tried to do what I could, like, yeah. So the couple messages me and says, hey, so slight issue. We were in the bedroom to start rearranging it and noticed that the carpet where the bed isn't at is almost completely black and there are urine stains. And so I just messaged a question mark because this is news to me at this point. And so she says, so we're renting a carpet cleaner. And I say, I'll reply to you about this later. I see the picture. It is not black. It seems like normal wear and tear. And let me just address a few things. This bedroom, I found out later, was the designated cat room. Mm. So if we're going to talk about urine stains, why the fuck was this room not steam cleaned, vacuumed, and like with a carpet cleaner for me when I came in? This, and then the bed frame as well. The room is so tiny. There was no way I could move anything. I left that box spring where it was the second I moved in. Like, right. I did not ever move it. So I was like, oh, what the fuck? And on top of that, their cats would constantly break into my bedroom. Like they would, I didn't have like a lock from the outside. So they would jump onto the door handle and break into my room. And one day the cat locked itself in my room because I had there was some pressure on my door. So it locked itself in for 6 hours while I was at work and ripped up the carpet from the door frame pretty far back. So this carpet's destroyed. It needs to get ripped out. It's disgusting. I try to make the best of it, but I'm not going out of my way to clean something that was never clean for me.
Yeah.
And so I'm pissed off that they even have the fucking audacity to tell, they didn't ask me to do anything, but I felt like they were trying to make me feel bad in a non-confrontational, passive aggressive way.
Yeah.
And so I'm racking my brain for 3 days on how I'm going to respond to them. I'm like, am I going to pay for this? What do I do? And I'm like, you know what? Fuck these bitches. Fuck them. So I just blocked them on everything. I was like, hey, you know what? The fucking audacity to try to make me pay for something when you didn't even give me that same respect when I came in. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was so mad, and oh my goodness.
Yeah, it kind of just sounds like, because you said that their last person living there was the brother, right?
Yes.
It sounds like they didn't want to have to charge their brother for anything, but you were an easier person to probably put in that uncomfortable situation. And I don't know if they thought that you'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yeah, total, I'll pay for it. But no, you don't get to just take advantage of people. And honestly, if you're renting out a room, it should kind of be up to some type of standard. And if that was the standard that they left it for you, then they should not be surprised that it got left that's same way. Why
exactly.
is it now your responsibility to take care of something that they didn't even take care of when you moved in?
And I know that they were trying to imply that my dog did the whole urine stain thing. And I'm like, did they not even cross their mind it was probably their cats that were breaking into my room? They even acknowledged this thing. And they said, oh, well, we're going to replace the carpet anyway. So I don't understand the logic. I'm like, I feel like this whole thing is on them at that point. Yes, I could have would I even want the friendship after that point? No. So I'm like, the fact that you even tried to throw this on me, I'm like, fuck no. I'm not I'm not gonna pay this and then respect you the same way. So I'm just not gonna pay you at all.
Yeah.
I paid my prorated rent. I did everything I possibly could to make this right. And here's the standard of living. They had the litter box in the laundry room. I couldn't walk in there without shoes on because kitty litter would get stuck to my fucking feet.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. And so you're going to tell me that I need to pay for your carpet when I never saw you guys mop? Right. You guys didn't even wipe off your counters? What do you mean?
Right.
Yeah, just nastiness. But this is the standard for cleanliness for me. And I was like, I cannot live with people who do not fucking wash their own dishes.
Mhm.
If you're gonna use a dishwasher, no hate to dishwasher people, but like, do it right. And I cannot live with people that don't mop their floors and people that go into their house with shoes on. Like, that's a whole other thing. Yeah. So
That's a whole
what I
other
learned.
thing.
Like,
I know.
I feel like we had a good like communication thing going on. I learned my lesson from like previous people. I learned the power dynamic and I learned to stand up for myself, but I was like, the cleaning thing and our personalities have to mesh. And I'm very fortunate that now I'm in that situation where everything meshes well.
I know. I was
Um,
just gonna say that. Like, I'm so glad that you are probably the only person that I know that has solid. Well, I have another friend too that has like solid roommates and like that you guys can actually talk about things and communicate well and you have a good dynamic and you guys are best friends. I think that's awesome because that's definitely what I thought my experiences were going to be, and neither of them were like that at all. My like second roommate situation was very shortly after my first. I had quit my job with my first coworkers because the dynamic was so toxic, even at work, that I couldn't handle it. And so I moved in with this was Rain's really good friend and his wife. And so his friend was in the military and they were looking to get out of base housing and they wanted to get a bigger, nicer house. And so they asked us if we wanted to get a house together. And so it just kind of like was that timing, what I thought was divine timing. So we did that. We were going to sign a lease, but they told us to not sign it because Rain's friend was planning on putting or leaving the country, like putting in for it. He told us not to do the lease, so we didn't do that, but we split everything um, evenly, and it was all good. And I really enjoyed living there with them for like the first month was really great. Me and the wife, we were getting along really well. We would go to Goodwills, we Goodwill hop all the time, like just having a really good time. We went to do all kinds of things together. We grabbed lunch, we made dinner together, we did crafts. Like I felt really comfortable with this person. I brought my family around and I thought it was going to be good. And I was actually really relieved. And it wasn't until I think like a little over a month that things just kind of started to shift. And I was a little confused. When we moved in, we only had my bedroom furniture. So all of the furniture was theirs. And they insisted, like, we already have the furniture. We're just going to use our furniture. And we are like, okay, that's fine. Honestly, same thing went for dishes. They had all of their dishes and they said, just use our stuff. It's fine. And we were like, okay, that's awesome. Thank you. So we would do things like that. But then it just felt like there were times where she wasn't okay with that. Like she wasn't okay, if we laid on the couch one day, but another day it was okay. It wasn't a big deal. Or she wasn't okay if like I used a cup and put it in the sink, but sometimes she was.
that's really odd. You cannot be that selective when you have roommates. Like, with my roommates now, I know the items that are very special to them that I just stay away from. Like one of my roommates, he's gonna kill me for this, but I lost one of his favorite spoons. And now I'm like in debt to him. I need to get this spoon back for him. But I'm just very conscious of like using other people's stuff, but you cannot be that selective and get butthurt about things like that. I'm sorry. Go on.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It was just really confusing first off because it's like that dynamic of like you're thinking that you're doing something wrong but I don't understand how I'm doing something wrong. But you know, in hindsight, I just really think that she wasn't she didn't need to be with any like she didn't need to live with anybody else but her and her husband. That's just kind of what it ended up coming down to. But like the dynamic would just shift so much. There'd be times where, like I said, I quit at my previous job but I had come into money from like my taxes and I had gotten a settlement. So I was still actively looking for a job, but I think I was home. I was unemployed for 2 weeks before I got a job and started working again. And she would come home, and if I wasn't like cleaning, like actively doing something, like it was attitude, and she would go into her room and she wouldn't talk to me and she'd be upset, and she would subliminally tweet about me. Like we had each other on social media, and she would say like, oh, I can't wait till we're not here anymore, or I can't wait and to get out of here. And I would just be like really confused. So I would talk to Rain and I would ask like, am I like, what am I doing? Like what, like I don't understand what's going on. And I thought that was like the end of it. Like I was just venting to Rain. And then there'd be days like, we would be talking in the morning and everything like that, and things would be fine. And so one day, I was home and I just was like, you know what, let me just deep clean this house. And I should mention, I had my dog, and then she had two dogs, and she had a long-haired cat. So there's cat hair everywhere, and my dog is short haired, so you don't like see like my dog's hair is not, it's not the problem. But she had two terriers, like wire haired terriers, and she had this fluffy freaking cat.
I just need to say, your dog, Izzy, like, she kind of like, to me, she almost looks like she's bald. So this is definitely not her hair.
Right. Yeah, she does. It's not the issue. And
Yeah.
so I would clean and I would do all these things. And we're a tiled, like the whole downstairs was tiled and then upstairs was carpet. So I spent that whole day just like deep cleaning, which I don't mind. I really do enjoy having time to do stuff like that. And it feels really good. Um, and so I did all of that. I put everything away, vacuumed upstairs. I cleaned my bathroom and I cleaned our bedroom, which our bedroom was an office. So we didn't have any doors. We used curtains as our doors because I did not want our bedroom to be right across from their bedroom for obvious reasons. So we had that. And I remember like her coming home and just still being so upset. And it was just causing me a lot of stress. And so Rain and I, we asked if we could all sit down and talk, and we're talking, and he's, expressing how we feel a little uncomfy here, and we're kind of contemplating looking for somewhere else to live. Like, and then he had brought up how I had spent, my entire day off, like cleaning this house and deep cleaning the house. And she took that information and pointed at a Nerf gun or a Nerf bullet that was underneath the couch. And that was her basically letting me know that it's not clean because there's a freaking Nerf bullet under the couch. And that set me off. And I was just like, whatever. But we had some type of like heart to heart where we were crying. And I thought, like, okay, we have an understanding. Wrong. We fast forward and Rain goes on like this, like he has to go somewhere like a TDY with like the military, and he's gone for I think a week or two, I don't know. But right before this happened, I noticed that she had blocked me on everything because I was going to send her a dog video because this girl loves animal videos. So I was going to send it to her because I thought it was cute, and I noticed I couldn't, and so I checked my other socials and I couldn't. So I screenshotted those and I sent them to her, and I was like, what's going on? And her response was that she wanted to freely she wanted to speak freely without it offending anybody. And I'm sorry, but that just like sounds like you wanted to talk shit about me. I was just like, whatever, brush it off. But I was hurt because I thought this was my friend. We had so many heart to hearts. We had spent so much time together. I genuinely did care about her. And so it really hurt me more than it made me upset. But then her responses going forward made me upset, where I wasn't as hurt. I was just really angry because her like justification was just basically saying things like, hate me if you want, that's fine, everybody does, just like trying to like paint like this victim narrative. And I'm like, you did it. Like, I don't understand why you're trying to put this on me, because I asked you why you did it, and then I just said, whatever. And so it just got really frustrating. And so Rain was going to go on this TDY, and I did not want to stay in the house. I remember I stayed there one day and we had ordered pizzas, and we were eating the pizza, and they got up to go do their own thing. So when I was finished eating pizza, I got up to go do my own thing. And Next thing I know, they're calling me down the stairs and they're asking me if I live in a barn or if I was raised in a barn, because I wasn't the one who put the pizza boxes away, but I didn't, like, I was just really confused. Like the pizza boxes were on the counter. And so I guess like I could have done that, but I didn't, I don't know what was going on. But the comment was just really like rude and it was mean because you guys also got up. You guys could have definitely put the pizza boxes away too. But it was just stuff like that that they had never talked to me like that. But once Rain left, they felt like they could talk to me like that. So I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So I went to go stay with my dad for a week. And then in that time, after 2 days of being at my dad's, she had texted me basically apologizing and saying that she missed me and that, you know, they want to, she's working on things and wants to be better. And I was just like, okay, you know, we just have a lot we have to talk about because we were ready to leave. And she said that she was ready for us to go, but she doesn't want us to go. So I was like, yeah, we just have a lot we have to talk about. So anyways, I get back to the house when Rain gets back from his like TDY, and they went to like a weekend thing, so they weren't there. So we spent the days like cleaning up and just like cleaning our rooms and everything.
What does TDY mean? I'm sorry, I have no idea.
Sorry, I don't actually know the term, but it's like a short deployment. So it's like getting put
Ah,
somewhere at another base, and it could be like out of state or out of like the country. But yeah.
okay. I just gotta stop you for a second. Fuck those little snide comments like that. Do you think you live in a like? Do you live in a barn? What the fuck? Oh my god! Like, I do
Yeah, it's
not.
rude. It was
I
so
do.
rude.
I do not deal well with people making little fucking snide comments or people tweeting about me because oh my god, I'm so confrontational now. I fucking clock people like the second that they do something. Like people know, like, but I just
Yeah.
don't have the patience for that. And like that's just a perk of getting older. You just stop caring as much. But fuck, dude, like I know
Yes.
that we were like so much younger back then, but like I like just hearing all this stuff, I cannot believe what we
What we
like.
put up with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it was really rough. It was just like I didn't know where it was coming from and why all of a sudden like this is happening. Like we had a really good dynamic, and like I said, it was all of their stuff. All of our stuff was literally in our room. And it was because, one, because I just kept it there. And two, like if any of our stuff was visible, it seemed like it was a problem. Like we were messy. If I had my headphones on the coffee table, I was messy. Or if I had any mail, I was messy. And it's just like, so you just didn't want any remnants of me or Rain in this house. And that's just what it felt like.
I call this sort of like lifestyle or like the way our home is now is it's lived in. Like people live here. Like
Yeah.
it's a comfy place. Whenever people come over, they're like, okay, your house just feels so comfy because you can tell people live here. It's nice because we're generally clean people,
Yep.
but like it's not a fucking hospital.
Exactly.
Um,
And I want to just say, my house is very much public on my Instagram. You guys see the way that I live. So there is no way, like, I'm not even trying to make anything seem like I am this like super, super neat freak because I know I'm not a neat freak, but I keep things like I'm very presentable. And it just was the point of their stuff could be out, but God forbid I had the smallest thing of mine, like even my work shoes, because I worked as a catering coordinator. So I worked around food. I had to have non-slip shoes. I would leave them at the front door because we had carpet and I didn't want them on the carpet. So I would leave them right at the front door. That wasn't even okay. And I'm just like, why can't that be okay? Like, I don't understand why that can't be okay. But when all that happened, we came back, we did our business or whatever. They came back from their trip, and one of the things that they would do is they rarely ever like knocked or like let us know they were coming in. They would just kind of poke their head in because we had curtains for doors, and they just wanted to know if we wanted to go have dinner. And I didn't really want to go, so I didn't respond. But Rain said, "Yeah, let's go have dinner." So we did, and we're sitting down. And we're just kind of talking, and I'm really not into it, but I just put on like I just show face or whatever. And the next thing I hear is that she said she cleaned so much while we were gone. She did so much cleaning and she got rid of so much stuff. And I asked her, what did you get rid of? And it turns out she got rid of stuff in our storage room. We had a shared storage room downstairs. That's where I had my grandma's sewing machine box. That's where we had like, all of our boxes for like Izzy's giant kennel. And they had their washer and dryer that they brought with them that we didn't need to use. And all of these things, our arts and crafts stuff, everything. Well, she threw away my grandma's sewing machine box. She threw away the box to Izzy's kennel. Just like certain things that she threw away that she knew wasn't hers and knew it was had to been mine and Rain's, but she still took it upon herself to throw it away. Along with some other things that were in the fridge, which I don't really care too much about because I did just go grocery shopping. And then when all that happened, I was just like, I'm peacing out. I'm going to go stay with my dad. And when she told me that, I just kind of got really irritated. And I just told her, like, that's not okay. Oh, and before I had left to my dad's, when that whole thing happened where she blocked me, I bought my own utensils and like dishes and everything after that, because I was just like, I don't want to have to deal with it. I was at the point where I was eating in my room. I just had my own stuff. But when I left and I came back, I couldn't find any of my stuff. I looked in all the cabinets, couldn't find it. Rain didn't know I bought anything. I finally look at one of the bottom cabinets, like at the very bottom, and all of like my cups, my plates, my bowls, and my utensils are all in that one bottom cabinet. And I'm like, what? Why? I had originally had it all next to her things, like cups next to her cups, plates next to her plates. There was plenty of space for it, but it wasn't okay. So I told her that I moved all my stuff back, and she told me, well, I made all of that space for you down there for your stuff.
Girl, I'll be fucking damned if I need to get on my fucking hands and knees just to get myself a cup, just to get myself a fork. Who did? Oh
exactly.
My God. Like, I've heard these stories, mind you, but they still make me mad.
Exactly. It's just like, what? So when she said that she made all that space on the bottom cabinet for my things, I told her this in such a like condescending way. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. But I actually don't feel like I need to get on my hands and knees to get a cup. So I moved it back. And she was like, well, if anything's moved out of order, I'm just going to move it back. And then I was like, okay, well, we can keep going back and forth because I will not get on my hands and knees to get a cup. And that's when the mood just completely shifted. We got the check. She like stormed out of the restaurant, and he like followed her. She's crying outside. Me and Rain meet them. We have to drive back in the car with them to get back to the house.
So I know that we're like, even in my previous story, I kind of focused more on like the female in it. Did the husband do anything bad either, or was he just kind of like there while she was like on a rampage?
Yeah, I think it's just because I've had more of the dynamic with her than with her husband, but like he was very complicit in a lot of these things, and it sucks because he had definitely tried to make it seem like he was a peacemaker. And I genuinely did believe that, because he would come and like talk to me like after these situations. He would come and check on me and just be like, hey, like, are you okay? Like, I don't know why she acted like that. I tried to talk to her. Maybe you could just talk to her and da da da. I was like, no, like I don't want to deal with that. And like it just came to like a point like where I didn't want, like, okay, I was just fed up with like having to pretend like things were okay or that I wasn't bothered. So when we got back to the house, she came and like she opened like the cabinets and she saw that our stuff like was up there, and she's like, yeah, this isn't gonna work. And it just became a big old argument, and I just didn't understand what was going on. And it became a screaming battle between me and the wife. And then she told us that we just need to get the hell out. Sorry, I'm trying to like remember all of these parts because I genuinely saw red in these moments, and I couldn't even like, I was very emotional and I was very angry. But she said just to stop touching her stuff. And so Rain, being it was just funny. He came downstairs and he was like, oh, so is this refrigerator yours? And she's like, yeah. And so he's like, oh, then we got to get a brand new refrigerator and put it right next to this one. And he was like, oh, don't worry, I'll get a brand new TV and put it right next to your TV. And he's like, and don't even get me started on the couch. And it just made her, it like was like adding like, more to the situation, but it was really funny.
I love Raid.
Yeah, like
his little like his little tidbits here and there. Oh, God.
well, him and her, they never got along in the situations, like because he just did not put up with that type of bullshit
Mhm.
that she would like do, and so they always would butt heads. But in that moment, it was really nice to kind of like have him have my back and like in those situations, and so I did think it was funny, but she did not think it was funny,
We
and so
love a supportive partner.
I know. So she told us to leave, that we need to leave, and da 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 da, and so that became what it was. And she had said some choice words about her husband and me. And that's when I saw red because, first of all, you said that one right in front of my boyfriend, my now husband. One, I am not looking at your man. Let me just start there.
She
Okay.
she insinuated that you were trying to get her man? What?
She said that her husband could sleep on the couch or could sleep something about being close to me since he's always up my ass.
What the fuck?
And I was just like, what? And that's when I was just like upset. And she said all this stuff. She got real big and bold at the top of the stairs. And so I was in the kitchen. And so when she said all that, I was like, oh, I don't think so. And so I went over there and I was crying, but I was yelling. And I was just like, I tried to give you the benefit of the doubt. Like I thought we were friends. I, brought you on my family. How could you act like this? Are you kidding me right now? And it just got really heated. So we tried to look for somewhere to live. That's what ended up getting us into our own apartment. But then Rain was cleaning his uniform and he had it in the washer. And he walked past the washing machine a little bit later and he saw that his uniform was on top of the washer soaking wet. And she told him, don't bother using our washer or dryer anymore. And he got really upset and he punched a wall in our room, which ended up breaking his hand because he punched into a stud.
Oh my God.
But I'm just like, you are better than me because I would have tackled her. I'm like, seriously, like if that is, I don't even know. But we came home from the urgent care where he got his cast and I was making dinner. Literally did not say a single word to these people. Rain was talking to his friend, did not say a word to her. I was cooking dinner and she got up and told her husband, I literally hate them. And then stormed upstairs. And it was just so freaking funny. But he came downstairs after talking to her. He's like, yeah, you guys got to go like now. And I'm like, we just paid you rent. It was like the beginning of July. So if that's the case, we're going to need our money for rent. We're going to need all of that. They weren't happy about that, but they ended up giving it to us. My stepmom, like I said, was a property manager. So she was able to get us into an apartment ASAP. Thank you so much. That was a blessing because ever since then, everything has been peace. But yeah, that's initially how like that whole situation kind of ended there. The next day we like packed and everything, and I was being a little petty. I decided to play my music loud while we were packing because I heard her playing her like TV show up really loud while we were packing. So I was like, okay, go, okay. And so I turned it up really loud. And then her husband came, was like, do you think that maybe you could turn the music down a little bit? And I was like, we're literally leaving. What more do you want? Go away.
Yeah. Oh
But
my God.
yeah, so that's how that ended. I mean, fast forward a year after that, we ended up talking it out and we're just on like very neutral terms. We don't really talk, but we're on neutral terms.
My former roommates, they all blocked. I don't need those people in my life.
No, my first roommates blocked.
Yeah, fuck them. But didn't your quality of life just improve so much when you and Rain moved out on your own? Because my quality of life got so much better when I moved in with my current roommates, Tim and Thomas. Like, I have been sick maybe twice, and we're going on 3 years living together.
Right.
They treat my dog so well, which is
Right.
you need to live for, like, this is something to touch on really quick. You need to live with people who treat animals similarly to how you treat them. I don't want roommates ever again if I'm not living with my current ones.
Exactly.
I've told myself if you need a roommate, do it. It's cheaper, but if your freaking sanity is like, if you're losing your sanity, if it's messing up with your mental health, if they're being really negligent, if they're making you uncomfortable, and also if you have to eat in your freaking bedroom, you need to move out. Like, when you said that you were eating in your bedroom at one point, fuck that. Like, No,
I
you
was
should be.
miserable. I was literally like, I went to Home Goods and I bought a little patio side table. I still have it to this day, but I bought like a little table that was like a tall, skinny one. And I had a papasan chair and I would have it right next to it. That's what I would set my food on and just eat. And I would be in my room watching TV in my room. Literally all of my life was just in that room. And then I had a craft room where I had my clothes because the office didn't have a closet. So that room wasn't being used. But it was just so uncomfy because it was very clear that she did not think that that was our house too. Even though we paid the bills, we paid, our rent, we did all those things. I would ask them, like, hey, I was planning on having just, like 2 or 3 like of my friends over. We'd be in my room or in the loft. We're just gonna play some games, but do you guys want to join us? Da, 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 da. And she wouldn't respond. And her husband was like, yeah, that's fine, I guess. And later on, like when we would talk about it, because he would always talk to me and he would be like, yeah, it was kind of weird, how you having friends over and this and that. But I don't see how that would be weird because this is supposed to be our home. And I even am giving you a courtesy and asking you, like, how do you feel about that? And if it wasn't a good day, you could have said that and I could have picked a different day or I could have planned ahead. I'm super accommodating in those ways because I would want that same type of respect. And one, I wouldn't care if you had people over because that means I get to make friends. I'm a people person. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I felt really uncomfy living there towards the end of our time. And it just really sucked. And once Rain and I got the keys to our apartment, it was like coming up for air after just being like underwater for so long. And we could do what we wanted. We could cook when we wanted. We could, you know what I mean? We could sit out in a living room and enjoy our living room and just enjoy our space. And I honestly would never, ever, ever, ever get a roommate again. Like Rain's the best kind of roommate because we're married and I could tell him things that bother me and he could tell me things that bother him.
If we move out, like go our separate ways, I'm living alone or I'm living with a partner, and that is it. Because fuck that noise. Yeah, you're not walking on eggshells around him because you guys have an equal power dynamic and you're not renting out rooms for each other and everything is shared. And,
Yeah.
you know,
And the
that's what
last time
I,
I checked, when we got this house, it wasn't, oh, do you want to rent a room from us? It was, do you want to rent a house together? So that should have been the thing that it was, this is our house. I'm not your guest in your house. We are sharing this house. And I think that was really hard, for her or them. I don't really know. He didn't seem like he cared too much, but it was always an issue with her. I just felt like that was really hard for her to grasp. And I just, at the bottom line, I just don't think that she should have had roommates or they shouldn't have had roommates.
we got to do some self reflection. What do you think
Yes.
we did wrong? Because I'm not perfect. Like, I'm sure that if my former roommates heard this, they would be like, I don't know.
I don't know because they would have been like, oh, wait.
Oh wait, Lexus picked up after herself. Lexus cleaned her bathroom on time. Lexus picked up her dog poop. Like
Right.
what like okay, at least for me, maybe I man, this is fucking hard because like in that first situation, I really don't think I did anything wrong other than being young and dumb.
Mhm.
And I should okay, young and dumb, and I should have had more like help from adult figures. And then the second situation, I mean, I really think that I tried my best, and maybe I should have been more upfront about things. But I went into it knowing that it was like a just a pathway for me to eventually move in with my current roommates. Like this
Yeah.
is not long term, so I just wanted to make like the best um make the best of it while I was there, and everything was fine. But I don't know, I guess I could have responded to them, but I did not see that conversation going any positive way.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I think too, like when I do look, because I do spend a lot of time, like I am a person that holds on to certain feelings sometimes. And I wonder, like, why did this happen? Like it hurts. Like it hurts when you lose friendships or like you lose like relationships. And regardless of like if they just did you dirty too, like I still have this habit of just doing that type of reflection. Like, what did I do? With my first roommates, honestly, I should have just been like, I should have not been so focused on there possibly being confrontation, even though whenever I would talk about anything, it did end up being confrontational. But I should have just been really confident in, what I was concerned about and, reminding our roommates what we had discussed prior to moving in. And I think that because I didn't do that, I kind of enabled the behavior. And so then and it happens for so long and you're allowing someone to do certain things for so long and then you bring it up after all of these several times, it's kind of like, well, what the fuck, like why are you bringing this up now? So I can see that, but I always have this feeling that people see my heart, and some people will care about it and some people will definitely take advantage, and so I do feel that in that situation. And then with my second roommate, towards the end of our time together, I let my anger get the best of me in that situation. And she did pull me out of character. And so I did think about that a lot. Like I could have addressed that very ending, like instead of like yelling and screaming and doing all of that and crying, I could have just been like, you know what, this is not a good situation for us. We need to move on.
My roommates now, we just have like a common respect for each other. We communicate really well. We have family meetings. We have a group chat for just bills. We have a friend group chat. Like we have like 20 different group chats for different things, but it really keeps everything in order.
Yeah.
And, I'm just happy I have this dynamic now. So for anyone listening, don't do what we did. Don't do what we did.
Learn from our mistakes. Get a contract within your contract.
Get a contract, have group chats, stand up for yourself, do not deal with passive aggressiveness, and
address right away.
Yeah, address things right away. Like that's what I like. It's really hard because you have to have a lot of confidence, but if you go into things with confidence, like how are people going to shut you down? With me and these sort of like confrontations, I have not always been the best at this. And it's been some growing pains, even with my current roommates, because I always tell them like, we need to value our friendship and like the relationships we have with each other because we're just friends. We don't like me and the couple they're a couple, but they're amazing gay couple. Living with gay people is just nice in general. Anyways, I tell them all the time, we're just friends. We don't owe each other anything. We're tied to a lease, but we're not tied to like a marriage contract. If we want this relationship to work, we have to put in the work. So you need to talk to me like a normal human being. You need to respect me. We need to have this commonality together and show that we love each other. And like, I really think that's what my previous situations were lacking. It was a general respect and love and wanting to understand each other. Because if you go into an argument with the idea that you are 100% right, you are going to be like destined to figure that the other person is wrong and not see their side. I don't know what song this is from. I think it's from like a musical, but she had it coming.
Right. I know. I just hate like when people do get the best of me. Yeah, I think going into like a roommate situation, when you notice an issue, like I think there's definitely a way to go about doing it, but definitely make sure to address it, because if you let it fester, it's just going to be more and more little things that are going to add on, and it's just going to be something that you combust, and it might not be in the way that you want it to happen, but suddenly like now it's a big old issue. So I think it's just better to address those things head on. I have just been burned too many times where I can't go back, and I would be too scared to ever go back into a situation like that with everything. Like I cannot fit enough of what's happened into this podcast.
I know, this is a long one.
It is.
Yeah.
All right, Alexis. So how does that feel to get that off of your chest once and for all?
I know that we have talked about these things like together because, like I said before, she was like my client at one point and we were like going on and like I got the 8-hour version of like Morgan's story. So I guess we can endlessly talk about these things. But yeah, I mean, it does feel good to just like know that you're not crazy and be get some affirmation about all these things. And, you know, at least in my situations, I don't need closure from these people. It just feels good to know that like I did my best in these situations and I hopefully will not make these mistakes going forward.
I'm not looking for any closure. I think with my second roommate, that one really did affect me a lot more than my first roommates. And so I think that's why we ended up just kind of saying our piece, because I needed to get that off of my chest and off of my heart and be able to move on. And when I did that with her and we talked about it, I was able to just move on. And with my first roommates, like I hope they're doing fine. But yeah, I've seen these situations now and they're hilarious to me to see like, holy shit, like this would happen to me. I would be in these situations 2 times in a row. But overall, I'm happy with where I've ended up. And one of the things I've said a lot is that all those things had to happen for me to be here where I am right now. So I guess thank you. I don't know.
Yeah, all those things needed to happen to me too. Wish I didn't experience that, but sometimes you just got to deal with things firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember that show on the real MTV is called The Real World.
Mm-hmm.
Their motto was like, when people stop being polite and start getting real. And that's really what it is.
Yeah. Where's the
know.
hidden cameras?
Yeah, like I remember just dealing with some shit with those roommates and then looking off into the distance, like, is this bitch for real? Like, where's the camera right now?
Right.
But yeah, I think that's all the time we have for today. That concludes our session, Morgan.
Yay.
We'll see you guys in the next one. Go ahead and follow our Instagram page, Switching the Narrative. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube now. Go ahead and follow those things. Let us know what you think. Do you have anything else to add, Morgan?
No, I think that pretty much concludes it. If you guys have any suggestions of what you'd like for us to talk about, go ahead and send us a message on our Instagram page. We'd be happy to see what you guys have to say.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.